He wasn't just the Prince of Darkness, he was a storm wrapped in leather, chaos with a microphone, and a soul stitched together by pain, passion, and unforgettable music. But behind the madness was a man few truly knew. Sharon first met Ozzy when she was just 18, and no, it wasn't love at first sight. It was confusion, even disbelief. "Oh Lord, look at him," she later joked. Yet something deeper took root, something raw, defiant, and unshakable. Their love story wasn't built on fairy tales. It was forged in fire, through addiction, betrayal, public meltdowns, and private heartbreak. Now, after his death, the silence he left behind is deafening. And what Sharon has finally revealed about the man behind the myth will change everything you thought you knew about Ozzy Osbourne. The world wept, tributes flooded in, but one voice stayed silent, until now. Sharon Osbourne, Ozzy's wife and fiercest protector, has finally broken that silence. What she revealed isn't just emotional, it's devastating. Behind the wild persona and the dark eyeliner was a man misunderstood, broken at times, but deeply human. Sharon's words have stunned fans across the globe, peeling back the curtain on the Ozzy few ever saw. Her revelations about his final days are haunting, raw, and filled with a love story that endured more than most could survive. Born December 3, 1948, in Marston Green, Birmingham, England, John Michael Osbourne, known to the world as Ozzy, rose from humble beginnings to become one of rock's most controversial legends. Growing up in a working-class home, his escape came in the form of music, a burning passion that led him to join a small band in 1967. That band became Black Sabbath, and Ozzy's eerie vocals and electrifying stage presence reshaped the future of music. He wasn't just a singer, he was a movement. Ozzy helped birth heavy metal, turning his pain into performance and his demons into art. But the greatest twist of his story? It's not just about music. It's about the man behind the madness, and the woman who never stopped loving him. From 1967 to 1979, Ozzy Osbourne wasn't just the frontman of Black Sabbath, he was the soul of a revolution. With his haunting voice and unfiltered intensity, he helped craft a sound that redefined rock itself. Albums like Paranoid, Master of Reality, and Sabbath Bloody Sabbath didn't just top charts, they carved a legacy in stone. But behind the iconic riffs and dark themes, Ozzy was crumbling. Substance abuse, inner turmoil, and rising tensions within the band slowly poisoned the chemistry that had once made them unstoppable. By 1979, those fractures became unrepairable, and Ozzy was forced out of the very band he helped build. It was heartbreaking, but also necessary. Because what came next would redefine his legacy. In 1980, with the odds stacked against him, Ozzy Osbourne rose from the ashes with Blizzard of Oz, a solo debut that wasn't just a comeback, it was a thunderous declaration. Crazy Train and Mr. Crowley didn't just silence doubters, they inspired a new generation of rock fans. Central to this rebirth was the electrifying synergy between Ozzy and virtuoso guitarist Randy Rhoads. Together, they created a sound that was bolder, sharper, and more emotionally charged than ever before. Ozzy wasn't just back, he was reborn, and his solo era proved he was more than a Sabbath shadow. He was a legend in his own right. But despite the success of his music, controversy always followed. When Ozzy bit the head off a dove in a 1981 meeting with executives from record labels, it caused a media frenzy. His reputation as a wild and unpredictable rock star was further cemented when the public was horrified by the publicity stunt. He then stunned crowds once more in 1982 when he bit the head off a live bat thrown on stage by a fan during a performance in Iowa. After the show, Ozzy was hurried for rabies injections without realizing the bat was genuine. These incidents added to his developing mythos and were notorious representations of his wild stage persona, despite the fact that they were unsettling to others. In 1982, tragedy struck during Ozzy's Diary of a Madman tour when his friend and close associate Randy Rhoads perished in a horrifying plane crash. Ozzy was crushed by the loss on a personal and professional level. Rhoads had played a significant role in his artistic comeback, and his untimely passing left a gap that would last for years. Ozzy persisted, directing his sorrow into his songs and carrying on with his performances. He briefly rejoined his former Black Sabbath colleagues in 1985 to play at Live Aid, a landmark charity event that earned money for famine relief in Africa. In addition to being a therapeutic moment, the reunion showed Ozzy's continued dedication to leveraging his platform for worthwhile causes. When Ozzy and his family appeared in the MTV reality series The Osbournes, which ran from 2002 to 2005, his life took yet another unexpected turn in the early 2000s. The program provided an unexpectedly open and frequently comical glimpse into the tumultuous yet devoted Osbourne family. It was a huge success, elevating Ozzy to new levels of public recognition and winning over listeners who had never heard his music before. The series revealed the rock star's more sensitive and human side, but it also highlighted his ongoing struggles, such as his fight with addiction. I found the scene in which Lola the bulldog puked and his complicated family dynamics to be humorous. Ozzy received an unexpected accolade in 2003 when he was named an honorary colonel in the U.S. Army. The honor demonstrated his commitment for military service personnel and was given in gratitude of his performances for American troops. This act of gratitude reminded supporters that Ozzy was more than just the shocking headlines, and it contrasted sharply with his rebellious public persona. For decades, he had been entertaining people all across the world, even those serving in distant places. Reflection and a return to his roots characterized the ensuing years. I Am Ozzy, Ozzy's autobiography, was published in 2010. It is a genuine, darkly humorous, and intimate chronicle of his life. His career came full circle that year when he returned to Black Sabbath for a few records and performances. He stayed dedicated to playing and interacting with fans in spite of deteriorating health and the physical effects of decades of touring. His fortitude became a distinguishing characteristic of his final years, and audiences respected his desire to persevere in the face of mounting challenges. Ozzy Osbourne made his diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, a degenerative neurological disorder, public in January 2020. Support for the announcement was overwhelming. Yes. Indeed, it is. Hurry up. Hurry up. From both admirers and other musicians. Even though the prognosis was devastating, Ozzy continued to be active in public life. Rather, that same year he produced Ordinary Man, a profoundly introspective album that included collaborations with artists like Post Malone and Elton John. The record gave listeners a unique look into the thoughts of a man facing his own frailty by touching on topics of mortality, legacy, and thankfulness. But he wasn't done yet. Joined by Black Sabbath members, Ozzy Osbourne made her final appearance on stage before leaving Birmingham on July 5, 2025. The performance was poignant, impactful, and meaningful. A farewell to the city that brought him up, the band that helped him get started, and the supporters who have supported him for over half a century. Ozzy Osbourne died on July 22, 2025, a little more than 2 weeks later, at the age of 76. Complications from Parkinson's disease and other chronic illnesses were cited as the cause of his death. Ozzy's most sinister disputes and court cases. Although Ozzy Osbourne's legacy is replete with iconic performances and groundbreaking music, it is also encircled by intrigue, controversy, and very personal hardships. Even though his professional accomplishments are indisputable, several facets of his public life startled viewers and elicited strong feelings. Ozzy's tale is not just one of achievement, but also of profoundly human imperfections and trying times that influenced how the world perceived him, from strange stage antics to court battles and public disclosures regarding his drug usage. These aspects became as much a part of his public persona as his music, forming a multifaceted individual who lived an unapologetic life and was frequently praised and ridiculed simultaneously. Ozzy's startling on-stage and off-stage conduct was one of the most distinctive features of his public persona. These were not merely hearsay incidents. They made headlines, which added to the myth that surrounded him. One of the most notorious incidents was perhaps when Ozzy bit the head off a dove in front of CBS recording executives in the early 1980s. Everyone in the room was shocked by the occurrence, which was allegedly meant as a rebellious publicity stunt but instead served to further solidify his reputation as a dangerous and unpredictable person. A year later, Ozzy bit the head off a bat that a fan had thrown on stage during a live concert in Des Moines, Iowa. He initially thought it was a rubber prop, but he soon realized it wasn't, and he needed to get rabies treatment right away. These incidents come to represent Ozzy's stage persona. Extreme, wild, and always pushing the envelope. To acquire what I wanted, I had to drink more and more. I didn't want to be twisted on you, really. He allegedly outdoed Mötley Crüe's antics by snorting a line of ants while on tour, according to stories of other ludicrous actions. Some people close to Ozzy have questioned if this incident actually happened, despite the fact that it has been widely shared and portrayed in the media. Whether true or not, the story was incorporated into the mythos that surrounds him. A mythology that merged reality and fantasy, constantly focused on his defiance of social norms. However, Ozzy's lifelong struggles with substance misuse were the real cause of the public antics. Several public events and arrests, especially for disorderly behavior, resulted from his substance use issues. These episodes revealed more serious addiction issues that Ozzy subsequently acknowledged needed decades to address. Over the years, he participated in a number of rehabilitation programs, but the path to recovery was arduous, protracted, and fraught with obstacles. The harm these things did to him and others around him was something Ozzy never hesitated to admit. One of the worst episodes of Ozzy's addiction occurred in 1989 when he physically attacked his wife Sharon while intoxicated. He later acknowledged the seriousness of the act and conveyed his sincere regret. He was arrested as a result of the incident and spent some time in a mental health facility. In the end, Sharon decided against filing charges, and they stayed together. They later talked about the incident in public as part of their attempt to be open and honest about the risks associated with heroin misuse. Both their relationship and Ozzy's continuous battle to overcome his demons underwent a sea change at that point. Ozzy's career was also characterized by controversy that went beyond his own actions to include legal disputes and negative cultural reactions. Ozzy's song, Suicide Solution, caused a lot of controversy because some reviewers thought it had a negative impact on young listeners. In the 1980s, lawsuits were brought, but they were eventually dropped by the courts, which decided that the lyrics qualified as First Amendment free expression. The song, according to Ozzy and his fans, was a warning about the risks of substance misuse rather than a promotion for bad behavior. Nevertheless, the case spurred national discussions regarding the influence of music on young culture and mental health. Significant legal battles also arose over recognition and money, especially involving erstwhile collaborators Lee Kersake and Bob Glay. The two musicians sued Ozzy and his management, alleging they were not given due credit or payment for their contributions to important early solo albums, such as Diary of a Madman and Blizzard of Oz. The albums were controversially republished with Daisley's and Kerr Lakes' sections swapped out for other performers in reaction to the legal action, a decision that was widely criticized by both critics and fans. Although the incident brought to light long-standing conflicts within the music industry about artistic ownership and financial justice, the outcry ultimately resulted in the original recordings being restored in later versions. Ozzy also had a difficult personal and professional relationship with Sharon Osbourne's father, Don Arden, who was Black Sabbath's previous manager. The argument turned into a court case that further strained family connections and revealed the ugly reality of managing a music business. Following the breakup and the dispute with Arden, which signaled a significant change in Ozzy's career path, Sharon took over as manager. Even though it was a challenging and painful time, in the end, Sharon was able to have a bigger part in directing his career and defending his rights. The public began to pay more attention in the early 2000s. This time, from the perspective of reality TV. The Osbournes gave fans a glimpse into Ozzy and his family's crazy and unusual home when it debuted on MTV in 2002. Ozzy gained new followers as a result of the show's enormous success. But in the years that followed, Sharon came clean about a disturbing reality. Ozzy had not been sober when the show was being filmed. The disclosure spurred further extensive discussions over reality TV's morality, especially in relation to how addiction is portrayed and the possible exploitation of individuals who are battling it. Supporters claimed that the show humanized Ozzy and raised awareness of mental health and recovery concerns, while critics questioned whether it should have shown in such circumstances. The music of Sharon Osbourne appeals to media giants. The life of Sharon Osbourne has been a complicated and ever-changing journey of loyalty, perseverance, and reinvention. After a life of successes and setbacks with Ozzy Osbourne, her own tale demonstrates the fortitude and drive that shaped not just her husband's illustrious career but also her own position in the world of entertainment. Sharon frequently stood at the center, overseeing, protecting, and creating an empire around a guy that the world couldn't stop watching as Ozzy's scandals and personal troubles garnered international exposure. But Sharon Rachel Levy's roots were in the music industry from the start, long before the headlines and reality TV. Sharon Rachel Levy was born in London, England, on October 9, 1952, into a culture already heavily influenced by the entertainment sector. Don Arden was her father, a well-known and influential music manager who had earned a reputation for being as successful as he was cruel. Growing up, Sharon saw firsthand the fierce and frequently competitive nature of the music industry. An early experience that would later influence her own management style and ability to survive in a male-dominated field. Ozzy Osbourne was still managed by her father during his tenure with Black Sabbath when Sharon first met him in the early 1970s. They started dating when Ozzy's career was in turmoil and at a turning point. Did you suspect he was crushing on you? No. Additionally, it was not long before their personal and professional lives started to blend together. Following a difficult time in his life, Ozzy was fired from Black Sabbath in 1979. Sharon took over his career and offered him another shot, which would shape the next chapter of their lives. Sharon's influence in the music industry grew over the 1980s and 1990s. She kept running Ozzy's career, helping him through world tours, hit albums, and historic occasions. Her founding of Ozzfest, a music festival that became a major influence in the heavy metal genre, is among her most noteworthy accomplishments. In order to revitalize the genre and provide fans with a special venue to appreciate their favorite music, Sharon planned and directed the festival's expansion, bringing together up-and-coming bands and iconic performers. Ozzfest demonstrated Sharon's skills as a business strategist and promoter in addition to reaffirming Ozzy's importance in the field. When Sharon and the rest of her family were featured on the MTV reality series The Osbournes in 2002, Sharon's career took a completely different turn. The program provided an unvarnished glimpse into the Osbourne family, highlighting their daily turmoil, comedy, and affection. Because of her sharp wit, fearless demeanor, and unwavering love to her family, Sharon stood out on the show and gained a lot of fame. From 2002 to 2005, the Osbournes have become a cultural phenomenon, making Sharon a family call a long way beyond the song International. Capitalizing on her growing fame, Sharon released the Sharon Osbourne display in 2003, a daytime communicate display that allowed her to hook up with audiences in an extra-personal and conversational way. From 2004 to 2007, Sharon joined the judging panel of the X-Component UK, wherein she had become recognized for her candid opinions, emotional reactions, and mentoring fashion. Her presence introduced a completely unique mix of industry revel-in and raw emotion to the talent competition, supporting to launch the careers of numerous aspiring artists. Her ability to connect to contestants and audiences alike made her one of the show's maximum popular figures. Whether or not praising an overall performance or fiercely defending her crew, Sharon's authenticity stood out in a generation of cautiously controlled TV personas. In 2007, she shared her life tale in the autobiography Severe, which quickly became a nice vendor. The book chronicled her childhood, her complicated dating along with her father, her rise within the tune industry, and her turbulent yet enduring marriage to Ozzy. Via the memoir, Sharon supplied a deeper and more prone view of herself, revealing the emotional toll and personal demanding situations she confronted while navigating repute, family, and enterprise. The ebook's fulfillment cemented her reputation as a survivor, a person who had persevered colossal pressure and private pain even as continuing to build an effective career. Her have an impact on in television continued to grow whilst she joined America's Were Given Talent in 2010 as a judge alongside Howie Mandel and Piers Morgan. Her blend of compassion and difficult love once again proved attractive to visitors. However, in 2012, Sharon made headlines when she decided to depart the display in protest. She claimed that her son Jack Osbourne changed into unfairly excluded from participating in an NBC program after revealing his multiple sclerosis analysis. Her choice to step far away from a major TV possibility pondered her deep loyalty to her circle of relatives and her firm stance on status up for what she believed changed into right irrespective of the stakes. Between 2014 and 2017, Sharon served as a co-host at The Talk, a daylight panel display on CBS wherein she added her trademark boldness to discussions on way of life, politics, and amusement. Her unapologetic reviews and willingness to speak her thoughts made her each a liked and polarizing figure on the display. While her presence on occasion sparked controversy, it also underscored her position as a woman who refused to be silenced or softened by way of the pressures of public lifestyles. At the same time as her public engagements grew, Sharon persisted to manage factors of Ozzy's profession. In 2020, she regarded in his song video for Ordinary Guy, a touching task that pondered on mortality and legacy. Backstage, she remained deeply worried in organizing his excursions, overseeing commercial enterprise offers, and making sure that Ozzy's legacy remained included and respected. Through fitness scares, personal disaster, and media storms, Sharon remained the regular pressure in his life. From time to time the simplest one capable of conserving matters together while everything else appeared to disintegrate. Sharon's public feuds and controversies. Sharon Osbourne's rise to fame turned into constructed no longer best on her enterprise acumen and media air of secrecy, however additionally on her willingness to confront challenges head-on. However, with visibility got here scrutiny, and her lifestyles, like that of her husband, Ozzy, has been marked by using its personal proportion of controversies and tough decisions. Her formidable nature and unfiltered honesty often positioned her on the center of public debate and at times made her both a symbol of resilience and a magnet for grievance. One of the maximum personal and painful conflicts in Sharon Osbourne's existence when Sharon decided to take over handling Ozzy's solo profession after his departure from Black Sabbath in 1979. It precipitated a rift between father and daughter. Sharon noted her father's controlling and difficult behavior as the main cause for his or her estrangement. The emotional toll turned into extensive with the two ultimate at odds for many years. No matter being own family, their bond becomes severed by professional betrayal and unresolved wounds. Even though reconciliation finally happened shortly before Arden's death in 2007, their fractured courting underscored the cost of ambition inside the amusement business and the emotional charge Sharon paid to protect Ozzy and construct her own profession. Sharon's fierce character frequently spilled over into her roles on Fact Television where she received in addition reputation and controversy. At the X Factor UK, she had become recognized for her sharp opinions and willingness to name out fellow judges. A mainly notorious feud, Sharon accused Manogue of favoritism and influencing behind-the-curtain dynamics in ways that affected other contestants and judges. These accusations aired in interviews and memoirs generated enormous media interest. The feud highlighted the underlying tension backstage of high-stakes expertise competitions and illustrated Sharon's no-nonsense technique while it got here to her evaluations. An approach that earned her both recognize and backlash. Sharon's departure from the USA's Were Given expertise in 2012 introduced any other bankruptcy to her public disputes. She alleged that NBC had discriminated towards her son, Jack Osbourne, with the aid of dropping him from a planned display after he became identified with more than one sclerosis. In a noticeably publicized go-out, Sharon accused the community of unfair remedy and a loss of assist for human beings with disabilities. While NBC denied the claims, the debate stirred public debate approximately workplace discrimination and Sharon's role as a fiercely defensive mother. Her selection to walk far from a high-profile TV position verified her dedication to her family, however additionally found out how quick professional relationships could resolve while personal boundaries have been crossed. Possibly one of the maximum broadly mentioned controversies of Sharon's profession took place in 2021. For the duration of her time as a co-host on the CBS Daylight Display, The Speak in March of that 12 months, Sharon defended her buddy Piers Morgan after he publicly criticized Meghan Markle following her interview with Oprah Winfrey. The defense caused a hectic on-air trade with co-host Cheryl Underwood, for the duration of which Sharon expressed feeling unfairly criticized and asked for clarity on the subject. The incident sparked broader discussions within the media, approximately representation, equity, and responsibility. Reviews quickly emerged suggesting that Sharon had made feedback a few considered culturally insensitive behind the curtain in earlier seasons. CBS released an inner research and Sharon sooner or later left the display. Afterward, she claimed she had been set up via the network's producers and turned into unfairly portrayed. The event marked a turning point in her television career and caused her re-evaluating her position in American Sunlight Hours media. The debate also pondered broader societal tensions and the way public figures are held liable for their phrases and movements in a more and more touchy and related global. Beyond expert and personal disputes, Sharon also faced big media scrutiny over her look and her openness about beauty surgical procedure. Through the years, she spoke candidly about undergoing severe methods, such as facelifts, tummy tucks, and breast augmentations. Whilst a few applauded her honesty and willingness to talk about getting older in the spotlight, others criticized her for selling unrealistic splendor requirements. Sharon stated both reward and complaint, insisting that her pics have been private and empowering. However, the eye surrounding her look often overshadowed her expert accomplishments and reignited discussions approximately the pressures placed on women in amusement to maintain a sure photograph. Sharon's final tribute to Ozzy after his non-violent demise when Ozzy Osbourne passed away on July 22, 2025 on the age of 76. Peacefully at domestic in Buckinghamshire, surrounded by way of Sharon and their youngsters, the world paused to reflect on the life and legacy of considered one of rock music's most influential figures. Known as the Prince of Darkness, Ozzy's demise observed a powerful and symbolic very last overall performance with Black Sabbath earlier that month at Birmingham's Villa Park. That live performance, in which Ozzy remained seated for most of the display because of health concerns, had become his farewell to fanatics, closing the curtain on a career that had described and defied generations. Sharon Osbourne, his wife, supervisor, and steady accomplice for over many years, finally broke her silence. Her public announcement turned into packed with emotion, but also satisfaction as she venerated the man she had supported via reputation, dependency, health challenges, and ultimately peace. Their London home had been changed to meet his desires, making sure his mobility and nicely being as his illness advanced. These efforts pondered their shared want for privacy, intimacy, and peace. During what they knew have been his very last months, Sharon revealed how vital it became for Ozzy to be at domestic, far from the spotlight, surrounded by way of the ones he loved. The emotional toll of Ozzy's Parkinson's prognosis turned into something Sharon in no way shied away from. She had formerly expressed the heartbreak of looking her husband's fitness decline, especially in the ITV documentary Pax Men Placing Up with Parkinson's, wherein she tearfully admitted that she could cry each time Ozzy wasn't searching. The reality of looking a person so full of power conflict with bodily obstacles had weighed heavily on her. Ozzy's journey closer to the stop became marked by means of a number of extreme fitness issues. In 2022, he underwent a spinal surgical procedure that left him with decreased mobility. Next, complications compelled the cancellation of excursion dates, and for a time, Ozzy regarded to withdraw from public life. However, Sharon emphasized that he by no means stopped creating. Even in his final years, he began writing track, recording vocals, and completing his memoir, Remaining Rights. She said he desired to be remembered for his art, no longer for his infection. In her tribute, Sharon also addressed a number of the misconceptions and media speculation that had surrounded Ozzy's fitness in latest years. One point of rivalry changed into their long-rumored assisted suicide percent in Switzerland. Sharon clarified that whilst she and Ozzy had discussed the subject in principle, especially out of worry of prolonged struggling, it were twisted inside the media. She insisted their intentions had usually been approximately retaining manage and dignity, not escaping life in advance. Sharon's announcement changed into full of gratitude for the outpouring of affection and aid from the public and the track network. She referenced heartfelt tributes from legendary artists which include Elton John, Rod Stewart, and Ronnie Timber, who all acknowledged Ozzy's have an effect on song and culture. More youthful musicians additionally paid homage, spotting Ozzy as a trailblazer who had helped form the sound of modern-day rock. Sharon became moved by using those tributes, saying they supposed extra to the own family than phrases may want to specific. She additionally touched on Ozzy's contributions out of doors of music. In current years, Ozzy had turned out to be in surprising suggest for Parkinson's attention. By publicly sharing his prognosis, he gave limitless others the courage to talk up approximately their own battles. Sharon expressed satisfaction in his decision to go public, saying that even in illness, he found methods to offer lower back. Even though he had constantly feared being forgotten, his openness about his sickness had delivered yet another layer to his complex and significant legacy.